Hello and welcome to a kind of new series on my channel. I don't know whether I'm going to put this video on there and keep it on there, or whether I'm going to use it as like an announcement and then get rid of it. The series is going to be called The Spin Doctor Speaks to the, and today it's to the, I don't know, whatever, however, how many are you? 500 and something. It'll be in the video title. And I'll update that kind of number as the subscriber count increases, because ultimately it's you guys that have made this channel what it's becoming, and that is really very nice. That subscriber count has rocketed in the last couple of weeks, and it's always been pretty healthy. It's always been going in the right direction. I never set out with a kind of goal of I will have X hundred subscribers by Christmas or anything like that, but I thought, well, it'd be nice to get to 1,000. Goal to have 1,000 is because at 1,000 I can offer paid content. I'm probably not going to offer paid content as a kind of regular thing, but what I'll probably do is, much like many websites will sell an ebook of kind of premium materials all rolled into one convenient bundle, I'm likely to offer something, maybe even only every 6 months, just one paid piece of content that people can download if they want it. And it won't be something that any of my subscribers have asked me to produce. It'll be kind of an added value. So if you write in the comments, oh, I'd really, really like you to do a video on such and such, I'm not going to turn that into paid content just because it'll make you pay for it to view it, because I'm not doing this to make money. Or I should be really clear here, I never set out to do this to make money. I set out to do this because I was very, very inspired by 3 or 4 fantastic YouTubers who do brilliant art videos, and I thought there's a lot I can add with the scientific angle, which actually has taken off really, really well. People have really taken to that, which surprised me. I thought I wouldn't get many people viewing my videos, in all honesty. But things have spiraled and, snowballed, and it's become a lot stronger and a lot bigger. So I am really thankful to all of you for that. I wanted to make sure I thanked those of you who've been with me since the start, the subscribers who've been here since I just had a couple of product comparisons and nothing else. And if you go back through my videos, you'll see the point where I kind of went, oh shit, people are actually watching this, and upped my game in the production quality a little bit. It's not great still. I know the lighting could still be better. I'm really limited on space where I film, but who knows, that may change in the future. Really, I wanted to make sure, apart from saying thank you to everybody who watches, I also wanted to thank everybody who's been pimping my videos to other people. The new series I've done, the Spin Doctor's Surgery, which is the beginner's watercolor kind of series, I'm actually uploading the second episode whilst I'm saying this. That second episode is 15 gigabytes in size in HD. It's an hour and a half long. It's a brush control tutorial, which actually is what this is here, and then it's a little painting, which is this one here. Nothing special, just a sea with some sun at sunset. Just a very, very simple painting that an absolute beginner can do, because that was the idea of it. It's for an absolute beginner, not anyone who's got any experience. And that series has kind of gone a bit mad. People have really liked it, evidently. I've had something like nearly 800 views on that video in a week. Now, normally I get 200 in a week, and so that going kind of mad has really actually kind of inspired me that actually there is an audience out there, and that's been really, really nice. So thank you to everybody who has Facebooked or tweeted or whatever that video, because it's really been bringing me in a whole new audience, and I've had a huge number of subscribers appear as a result, which is really, really nice. And it's always a nice thing to have when you wake up in the morning, because obviously the majority of my user base I know is in the USA and Canada, so I wake up in the morning in the UK and I see how many subscribers I've gained overnight some days, and it's just kind of bewildering that it's happening. I mean, I'm not exactly on the 100,000 subscriber status. I'm nowhere near, I'm not even at 1,000 yet. But actually, when you didn't set out to bring a profit in from any of this, but you're making one already, this is actually kind of quite a nice, quite a nice feeling to see that happening. Going back to the paid content that I mentioned earlier, like I said, I never intended to make a profit from this. It was just done as an exercise, as a hobby, really. It was a way of sharing some of what I know with people. I'm an educator by trade, so it was just teaching something different for a change, I guess. And I have actually started to, let me be very clear, I haven't personally made a penny because I don't currently take a profit from these videos at all. In fact, I haven't even drawn down any money from YouTube or from Google Ads or from Amazon or anything else yet. The money's still with all of them. But I've paid for my hosting for like 5 years already, and I've paid for materials to review, and that's really good. So that means I'm going to be here for a while. What I've decided to do is, if I offer premium content in the guise of stuff that is more specialist, that fewer people are probably going to want, but I can offer it at a higher quality by charging for it, because it would be the kind of thing that's going to require me to buy in considerable things to actually do it. Those paid content videos ultimately are going to be where I will take a personal cut, because, this takes a lot of time. Much as I enjoy making these videos, it's a case of getting home from work, making one while I wait for my dinner to cook, or filming part of one while I wait for my dinner to cook, and then I will, in front of the TV, edit it and upload it that night. And that's why I'm only making about 3 videos a week. My goal ultimately would be that I could outsource some of the editing to someone else, and if I can take a profit from it, of course, it might put me in a different position with how many hours I'm working in my day job. Who knows? I mean, the doors that this could open are huge, and I'm not going to get ahead of myself, and I'm not even thinking beyond this week or next week at the moment, but I have got a notebook full of ideas of content that I would like to be able to make, particularly things that people have requested I do. So there is a really long list, and if you've requested something, I will probably at some stage be doing it. So please do ask in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see. I will try my damnedest to actually offer it to you. So this video is 7 minutes long now. I want to try and get it to 10 minutes because I think 10 minutes is kind of about the right sort of time. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the other kind of people that I'm thankful to, which are the other YouTubers. Now, you'd think when a new YouTuber comes along, it's, oh shit, that's competition. That's someone who's going to steal my audience share. It doesn't actually work like that in the art community on YouTube, because everyone is incredibly welcoming. Everyone cross-shares with each other. Everyone links each other's videos, and you don't really see that in any other sector. You see the occasional kind of lifestyle vlogger who will do vlog hops with someone else, or they'll do shared content with someone else, but it'll usually be a friend. You don't very often get it where people will be quite so freely linking to loads of other people, or even saying, I don't have any content on that, or I don't have any ability on that, but I know someone who does, go watch their videos. Most often in sectors like, I don't know, other areas of YouTube that I kind of look at, people will try and take ownership and do the content themselves. So actually, the YouTubers who have actively helped me by mentioning me, by giving me a voice in a way, because they've let me comment on their videos and they've let me get involved in things, and I'm really thankful to all of them. I mean, there's actually been a fair few, but I'm going to single out Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, who actually, since the very, very beginning of this year, when I decided that I would actually move to art vlogging from Fibercraft, which is what I used to do, and kind of reboot my old channel, I actually started up again from scratch and got rid of all my old content, which at some point I'm going to re-edit and bring into this brand, but I haven't got there yet. She really has helped me hugely, and I'm incredibly thankful to her, and actually to her audience as well, because so many of them will now speak, I've seen them address questions to both of us, because we have very different views on things, and we look at things from a different angle. And I know Lindsay's mentioned in her own videos, she's become a lot more interested in pigments after interacting with me, because I tend to concentrate on the chemistry of the pigment rather than on the cost or the consistency of the paint. And the more people, I think, that actually get that understanding of what they're buying and start to understand what is a good paint and a bad paint from the pigment point of view and what that paint can achieve, I think the better, because the art community is a funny one in that it's not just art anymore that use watercolor, it's art and craft that use watercolor. And with absolutely all due respect to the crafters out there, quite often there are watercolors and watercolor products and acrylics and other products aimed at the craft market that don't contain as much product information. They don't actually list their pigments. Sometimes they are hellishly priced way higher. I mean, I'm gonna name and shame actually. Tim Holtz watercolor paper. Hello, have you seen how expensive that is compared to watercolor paper that you would buy from an art shop? It's ridiculously expensive. The gessos you can buy from Dina Wakley. I mean, her products are great, but you're spending a fortune on a tiny container of gesso. And it bewilders me that people do that, because I buy gesso big in a drum. In fact, I will show you what gesso I buy, because I'm really classy. I buy the cheapest gesso on the planet. That's the gesso I buy. That cost me about £3, so $5. And that's a pint, basically, of acrylic gesso from the Simply range at Daler and Rowney. You might need 2 coats of it, but it's still cheaper than buying those teeny tiny little bottles for $5, which bewilders me. I mean, I know some of you buy them because you just want to have everything that comes from one designer, or you want to have everything that is designed to work together, and that's absolutely fine, but actually they're not really necessary. You could use any gesso. I mean, Lindsay actually told me that you can probably use the chalkboard finish Mod Podge as a clear gesso, which I haven't tried yet, but actually that probably would work. And I've seen all sorts of hacks that I've learned from the art community and people like Cinnamon Cooney, who is also brilliant with kind of hacks and ways to make things go further, and things you can use instead of products that are really expensive and aimed at the specialist market. So, with all due respect to the craft kind of end of the market, if we can make sure collectively as art YouTubers and craft YouTubers that everybody knows what they're buying and everybody knows what good and bad is by looking at the bottle or looking at the jar or reading the product description, and doesn't just believe what the manufacturer tells them, that can only ever be a good thing, right? Because we wouldn't do it with food. We wouldn't believe the claims of food manufacturers or vitamin manufacturers, because some of those are ludicrous. But for some reason, people tend to take art and craft materials kind of more at face value, because I think they're a black box item. They don't really know how it works or what's in it, so they'll just trust it. You know, a Versamark ink, absolute primary example, is glycerine and water. You can fake that really easily. Those colourless blender pens you can use for watercolour pencils, which are glycerine and water, are the same formulation pretty much as the Versamarker, which is glycerine, water and alcohol. So you can actually get a fairly similar effect with one product. So a little bit of understanding of the product, and you don't have to buy all these different things. You can save a lot. And that's something I've really admired about Lindsay's channel now for about 18 months. I never commented on YouTube videos for a really long time, and of course I always did it on my original channel. So I've been there looking at people like her, Jen Maguire, Christina Werner, Cinnamon Cooney, Julia Alterman from Just One More Card. I think she's got a fantastic channel, and a couple of others that I just think actually are real heroes in this kind of area of arts and crafts, because they will show you how to stretch your supplies further. And if I can show you what's in those supplies to start with and how they will interact and work with each other, then collectively we're almost going to kind of crack the art market by stopping that practice that companies like, and I think Ranger are a great company, but they've got a cracking business model of make you buy the same thing by lots of different manufacturers. And very often there is not a lot of difference. Tim Holtz Distress Ink Spray, Distress Stain Sprays, and Diane Reevely's Dilution Sprays, they even have in the FAQ on the Rangers website, what's the difference between them? Because they're both designed to lift, and it kind of says, oh yeah, one's designed to lift evenly, and one's not quite designed to lift evenly, and it's in such vague language. Somebody somewhere, and it wasn't me, kind of thought, well, they look the same, and the only difference I can see is the colours and the intensity of the colours. I really struggle to see a difference. But that is a brilliant business model if you think about it. Get everyone to buy the same thing they already own again. So the more people know, it's not going to send any company into bankruptcy, but it's going to help people make wiser decisions about what they're buying and not just trust the manufacturers. Now, I love Winsor & Newton as a manufacturer. I've been using them for watercolor paints for 20 odd years now. And they state on their website, their reps state it, they have videos on YouTube stating it, that the tube paints, if you dry them into a palette, don't re-wet properly. So if you want paints in a palette, you have to buy their pans and use the pans and the tubes separately, depending on what you want to paint. And, I did a video a little while ago, I'll link it in the iCards, where I called bullshit on that because it's just not true. The tube paints wet perfectly well, with the exception of 3 or 4 earth colours that, to be honest, in any brand, things like Caput Mortuum and Potter's Pink do not wet very easily, so you need to work them and leave them with a bit more water a little bit longer. Other than that, it's exactly the same. And I think if you blind tested somebody with paint from pan and paint from tube that have been dried down, I don't think even Winsor & Newton staff would know the difference. But that's a company I love the products from and trust, who are still using marketing spin to make us buy more products and buy redundancy in our products, buy things we already have. And I'm not falling for that. And I'm trying to encourage you guys not to fall for that. And I think that is really one of the best and most responsible things we should all be doing as art YouTubers. Now, there are art YouTubers out there who will recommend every product, and they say, oh yes, Winsor & Newton say that the tube ones don't dry down, and I agree, please buy their pans. And they'll affiliate link those pans like crazy, or do sponsored videos to show off the different products. And I'm not going to prostitute myself to that. I am only ever going to, if I recommend your product, it's because I'm recommending your product from my heart. Genuinely, it's something I actually like. If I ever do sponsored videos, I say I'm doing sponsored videos, and I'm honest about it. But even then, I won't do a sponsored video unless I'm allowed to give an honest opinion. I've been a professional reviewer for Amazon now for 8 years in the Amazon Vine program, which is a group of people in the UK, and there's a group of people in the USA as well. And we're not a secret. Amazon publicizes us. We get sent items for free every month to review, and we have to review all of them, and we can keep them. I've had televisions, I've had food mixers, I've had art materials, I've had books, DVDs. I mean, I'm talking tens of thousands of pounds worth of stuff. But every review is honest. We are not allowed to just kind of say everything is brilliant. Amazon want us to tell the truth. And whenever I've been asked privately to review things, which I get quite often, as I've been a top 2,500 and a top 500 reviewer in the last 10 years now with Amazon, people in the top list do get poached by companies to review things. Long before I was on YouTube, I've been being asked to review things. There's a video coming up where I had already done a review for a company, Rapesco, that make office products, where you can use their super clips to make little blocks of paper for painting watercolor on, so that you don't have to get the glue out. So whilst I think their product was fine and I reviewed it, months and months later I realised the super clips could actually be used for something in fine art that I hadn't really thought about before. And even though I thought the product was okay, but I couldn't see the point of it in my original review, I've done a video showing how to use it for something where I'm being honest, I found a use for it. I'm not telling you it's great because they gave it to me for free. I'm telling you it's great because it saved me time and it was a good idea. So I will always continue to work in that way. I'm not going to suddenly become one of those people who will pimp the latest products because so-and-so has paid me to do this review, so I'm going to tell you this product's great. If I don't like the product, I refuse to review it. I've got a dispute at the moment with a company that sent me a load of stuff that was utter shite. It was nothing to do with arts and crafts. It was to do with it was products. I have to try not to mention what the company does too specifically because I want to give them some anonymity, but it was essentially things that are sort of smartphone accessories, like for holding your smartphone on your bike, that kind of thing. And they were just so poorly made. I not only refused to review any of them, but I've asked them to collect them from me because I'm not posting them back. And of course, if I don't review them, I can't keep them, but I'm not paying for shipments. We're having a great dispute at the moment. Guys, if you're out there, you're really crap at arguing by email. I will win this one, trust me. I love the fact that they are trying to argue the toss, because they're trying to say, no, you agreed to review it. That means you have to like it. No, I'm afraid not. It really doesn't. There was no contract that said I had to like the product, and I'm not going to. And it's such a bad product that, I don't want to ruin a company either, because not all of its products are necessarily rubbish. So I'm not going to write reviews that give every one of their products a 0. What I will do is say to them, look, I don't like these enough to put my name to them, even with a 0. Do you want to take them back off me and we'll forget the whole thing? Because, someone out there likes, actually people do like them, but I thought they were badly made. I've looked at the other reviews. So that's where I stand on reviews, making money and everything else. I also wanted to use this video as an opportunity just to give you a little update on the Winsor & Newton large pans. You'll remember I reviewed these a little while ago and I started using them. I've been mainly using the French Ultramarine and the Burnt Sienna. This is the yellow ochre that I haven't really used much. I'll link to them in the video description because I'm such an absolute cheap... Basically, I'm a YouTube cheap date, basically. I'm going to link to those in the video description because I've made a killing on affiliate links for this product. I've had people buy, quite clearly, the whole series of them. And these are, these were on sale in the UK. They were like £12 or £13 each, which is worth it for the mixing palette alone, if I'm really honest. They were really, really cheap, and someone bought nearly all of the range in one order. It was amazing. And just so you know, if you order something through an Amazon affiliate link, the person whose channel or site it is doesn't know your name or anything like that, but it does see what you bought on the same order. So the person out there that is buying a lot of these, clearly, you seem to have quite severe heartburn. You're buying a lot of Gaviscon at the same time. So obviously, do look after yourself there. I mean, seriously large amounts of Gaviscon at the same time. And somebody who bought some brushes the other day bought a product that, well, let's just say I hope the batteries they bought with it were rechargeable ones. It amazes me that people have absolutely no shame, and quite often people will tell me in the comments, oh, I just bought such and such product because you linked to it in your description. And then when I go on and I see the order that contained it and I find out the other items that they bought, I think, do you not realise I get to see that? Maybe you want to not tell me that you bought them, or at least wait a few weeks, by which point I won't know it was you. Anyway, what I wanted to let you know is I've been using the French Ultramarine one to absolute death, and it's hardly made a dent in it. I made a really wet wash in this to do the brush control exercise in the video that I'm uploading at the moment. And I've dried it back down. It's been drying for a few days, and it's got a kind of sticky area around the edge now. The paint is well and truly stuck. I can't get it out the palette anymore, which is great. It made a great wash. I just kind of tilted it on a lid of a pen so that it would pool the liquid to one end. And then I took the paint from that end. So you've got this kind, I don't know if you can even see this. Let me try and zoom in or focus a bit more. I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of worn thin on that corner, because that's where I was kind of working the brush to make a pool of blue wash. And it was great. It dried down really easily. When I finished with it and held it flat, that paint ran around all the other sides, so it didn't have a big puddle. It took ages to dry down. I think they're great. It doesn't fall out. They're really good. I did the same with the Burnt Sienna to a lesser extent, so it's just kind of, I had it in the little corner. What I did notice with them is when you first wet them, if you spray them or you only get one end wet, they actually swell when you first use them very slightly. So I don't know if you can see, but the Burnt Sienna is kind of wider at this end than it is at this end now. So there's my little update on them, but I love them. They are so economical if you buy them at sale price. Don't buy them if they're like £20. Buy them if they're £12, £13, and what would that be, $20? And you'll find they're really economical. They're great to use. And when they're empty, you've got yourself a little mixing palette to make a wash in. And they're a really good shaped palette, actually. I'm hoping Winsor & Newton are going to keep making these for a while, because it has been a while since they originally launched them. I think it was 2007. And they kind of went quiet, but they are still selling them on their own website. They are selling them on Amazon. I think they're just not launching them across their whole range of colours. They've only ever sold them on the most popular colours. And as someone who loves porcelain as a mixing surface, I can't wait for them to be empty so I can use them. Little shout out for Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, because I'm not going to remember to tell her this. I bought a brand new tube of Winsor & Newton Cobalt Blue the other day, and I've just thrown it on the floor. Do excuse me. It's an effort to pick things up, because if I bend over, I can't get back up. So just bear with me. Oh, yeah. I actually managed to push it under the stool I'm sitting on. So ridiculous. Anyway, I know it's a brand new tube because it's in their new packaging, and it is still Fabrique en France. It's still a French one, not a Chinese one. So we were just trying to work out where Winsor & Newton are manufacturing at the moment, because some products are clearly China, some are clearly France. They also have Chinese products they manufacture in China that are a slightly different formulation, but if you buy them on eBay or Amazon, sometimes they're the ones you get. So do check your tubes when you're buying their products. That's my little parish notice for you all. Anyway, just can you hear I'm out of breath? That's what happens when I have to get on the floor to pick things up, everybody. So I'm going to go now. I'm going to be making a painting video and a couple of jewel crafting videos, hopefully today. And then one thing I wanted to also make a parish notice, because so many people have asked me. This is my little red book. This is my organizer of products, and I'm actually kind of revamping it at the moment, but I'll just show you a sneaky look. This is how I file my distress inks. So these are on good quality cardstock that I cut smaller than the thin Filofax paper, so the really cheap, it's not cheap, it's Filofax paper, it's expensive, but the really cheap kind of white paper you get in these doesn't stamp very well. So I cut cardstock narrower with my paper cutter, and I tape runnered and stuck it on. So I filed them mixed by colour, got my oranges and my yellows here, and for every one I did a stamp with a red rubber happy birthday stamp I've had for years, and I did a little direct to paper just to have them. And I've actually done most of the range now in that new way of filing them. And then I've got my Derwent pastels are all in here as well, and they're all kind of fairly neatly filed. And for things like the special effects pencils like the blender and the burnisher, what I did is I had a control which was Terre Verte, green earth, and then I used the blender over it, and I used the burnisher over it, and the blender where I mixed Terre Verte with sepia to bring the colours together. And then I did them direct, scribbled and blended there. And I'll probably do another column where I use Gamsol or something to show how they look. So basically what I've been doing is I've either been using the paper itself for pencils or the paper with cardstock glued on. And I've actually been gluing it on, single-sided, just a single piece stuck on. And that's been working. My original plan was to use the punch to punch through cardstock, but it's not strong enough, so I had to go into that alternative mechanism. And I've had this Filofax ages, and I've forgotten it had such cool stuff in it, like the event stickers, which I'm going to move to my main planner. I don't actually use this, so the diary in here is just going to get used up as paper. It's going to be just used up to stick things onto. And I will come back to this because I've got literally all around my studio pieces of cardstock drying that I've done paint on, or acrylic or oil or all sorts of products recently, to revamp and get that going again, because it's the only way I can stop myself buying the same thing twice. And I originally started using it for alcohol markers because my local art store, which is the Art Side in Plymouth, had a pro marker sale in January, which was when Letraset sold the product to Winsor & Newton. And Winsor & Newton, no Daler and Rowney. Oh, whoever owns it this week. We're obviously rebranding all of them, and I wanted to make certain that while they were cheap and they were selling them off, I didn't buy the same one twice. So I started filing them alphabetically in the address book section of an old Filofax, and that worked out pretty well. Note on my actual planner and my actual kind of way of doing things, I use the Moleskine products. I use a Moleskine professional notebook for keeping notes of projects and keeping notes of these videos in. and I also have a Moleskine planner. I actually have 3, which is a bit extreme. I have a day job one, I have this, and I have a personal one. And what I do is I just kind of copy baseline information between the 3. So if my day job has got meetings, I don't know, 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. on a certain day, my private one will only say free after 7 p.m. on that day, so that I don't have the full list of everything I'm doing. It just stops me double booking. And my one I use for this job doesn't really have anything set in stone on which day I'm doing it on. It's just kind of my upload schedule and what day to check your affiliate reports. Don't check them too often. I learned that one. When to start making stuff ready for Christmas. That's my next task. I might make a card today. A bit excited about doing that. I haven't made a card since February for a friend's 40th. And I need to make a whole stack because I've got friends turning 40 like crazy in the next 6 months. Anyway, that's half an hour. This was meant to be 10 minutes long. Bugger. Done it again. I always do that. Thank you all again very, very much. Your presence and your support and your watching my videos for more than 30 seconds so it gets counted as a view is very much appreciated, and I really hope that I can be here a long time really and keep doing what I'm doing. So thank you all for your support. I think what I'm going to do is put these kinds of videos up as a parish notice, probably about once a month, to talk about what's coming up and to ask you what you want. So my question to all of you is, post in the comments below something you'd like me to cover that I haven't already covered. Bear in mind the media that I work in are watercolour, acrylic, to an extent coloured pencil, but I'm not great with coloured pencil. I probably need to do more of it. But Lindsay the Frugal Crafter has just done a watercolour pencil 101, which I'll link in the iCards, which is brilliant. And I learned a lot from that because I only use watercolour pencils for drawing outlines with. I'm a bit crap. I do some jewel craft, namely wirework and beadwork. Nothing more advanced than that, really. And I do card making, really, bit of rubber stamping. Nothing special, not on the scale of Christina Werner or Jennifer Maguire or Julia Altaman. Yeah, I do acrylic. I don't do oil, really. I've tried oil several times. Oh, I do oil pastel. I don't like oil pastel, but I do it. I need to kind of get more confident with it. Anyway, thank you all very, very much. Good evening.